battle of wizards and warriors continues with iron swords. The evil wizard Malkill will take the shape of the earth, wind, water, and fire. Farewell! The fate of the world is in your hands!
You're listening to the Piercing Wizard podcast, and I'm your host, Ryan Willett. I'm a professional body piercer with 20 years experience. I travel around the world teaching technique and safety classes, and I'm a member of the Association of Professional Piercers. Listen in as I talk to my friends and colleagues about our industry so we can all stay sharp. Welcome everyone to the Piercing Wizard podcast live at BMXNET 2025. We have a very special guest for this episode.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you to say. That's great.
I'm just regular old Ryan. Why don't you introduce yourself, and then we will have our guest introduce themselves.
I am irregular old Lola, and our special guest for this presentation is Nefarious. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nefarious Larratt. If you know BME, Shannon Larratt, or Rachel Larratt, I am the kid of all three, I suppose.
So how often do you get like Larratt? Because my last name is frequently massacred.
It's Larratt, it's anything, just never Larratt.
Yeah. So this is kind of a challenging conversation to get rolling because we've never met previously. Unless you count when I met you, I think I met you possibly in utero. I went to a couple different BME events. I think I loosely remember Rachel being pregnant at one, and I think I also met you once when you were a wee infant, but I don't believe that counts because you couldn't say hello back. So I will say hello. I think it's really cool to have you coming out to an event like this because I've said it before on the podcast, I really feel like BMXNET is where the BME spirit carries on because the APP conference has been very sterilized, for one way to put it, and BMXNET has so many different disciplines, and it really reminds me a lot of my core BME memories. Do you have core BME memories in any way, Lola?
No, I really only became aware of BME in my late teens and early 20s, very much towards its end. I'm 35 now, and I'm not going to throw shade, but there are a few instances where piercers that are my age or younger, sometimes substantially younger, will say, yeah, I was a BME kid. And I'm like, really? Because that seems chronologically unlikely.
Yeah, were
so
you
I
6
think
years
that,
old when you were on BME?
Yeah. So I think that there is sometimes like that hanger-on, like desire to be there, like people that are like, yeah, I was at Woodstock when they weren't at Woodstock, that kind of thing. So Woodstock was a festival from very long ago. I don't have that. Of course, that's where I saw a lot of piercings for the first time. So I had that professional interest, but I didn't have a personal interest. I didn't have a social interest. It very much kind of passed me by. At that point, I think I was still on Vampire Freaks. So, I don't have the same personal connection that a lot of people here will have. So that means that I'm normal. I'm not like everyone else that's like, oh, I knew you when you were a baby. I did not know you when you were a baby. I'm just meeting you now. It's great.
So if you are the literal BME kid, I guess I want to ask just like what your childhood was like. I'm not asking for like shock stories or anything. I'm sure plenty of children grow up and their parents are in like really interesting lines of work, children of circus performers or whatever else. But like you had some really interesting parents, so I would imagine that you also had a very interesting childhood.
Yeah, I think I didn't even realize it was different than everyone else's just because you think everyone else is having the exact same experience until you get older. So really recently I've only started to reflect on it. I think both my parents were just really smart and fun people, so they raised me in a really just a fun environment. I like in the sense of BME related childhood experiences, I think that the people I was surrounded with were all BME members because those were my mom and my dad's friends. But I don't want to say in specific that it was like so cool to meet them, because those were just the people in my life.
Right. Just your parents' friends.
Yeah, I only knew BME people, so that was my entire world growing up. Other than, I guess, my school friends, but they were like 6. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool and it's pretty interesting. I remember, I was a lurker, a fanboy, whatever you want to put it. Like, I don't want to project this imaginary personal relationship I had with your parents. Like, I certainly knew them, and I would say that we were like, friendly, but we weren't close friends or something like that. I know that, especially after someone passes away, sometimes people can be like, we were the best of friends, and oh my God, and I would call them at 2 a.m. and be like, did they want you to? But I do remember seeing different posts that Shannon would make about art projects you two were doing, and I always thought that it looked like really cool, because it's sweet in a way when you might have friends and then they have children, and then you get to watch just how cool they are as a parent, and seeing that kind of experience and being like, wow, that kid must have a lot of like really interesting experiences. Where did the invitation to BMXNet come from, or was it something where it's like, oh, I want to go to BMX, so I'll talk to them and ask if they're interested in a speaker?
That was actually kind of a crazy situation. So I apparently they reached out to me a couple times. I never actually saw their messages up until Sasha, who I'd been conversing back and forth, was like, hey, did you know BMX is trying to reach you? I'm just asking, since we've been in contact, like, would you like me to connect you to? And so, like, last week, Sasha linked me and Stefan together, and he invited us out to BMX, and I'm so grateful for the invitation. It was, I'd heard about BMX from a lot of people over the past year or two, and they've told me it's one of the coolest events that goes on in the body mod world. So, like, I didn't have any prior plans to come, but I was really excited when I was invited.
It was really cool to sit in your presentation. Like, you gave a presentation, BME Past and Future, is that what you called it? It was really cool to be in there, have the little moments where it's like, raise your hand of this, raise your hand of that, what are some memories, and all these people who felt such a connection to it, and getting to see that kind of lineage of seeing your parents' work and now seeing like the work that you've taken on. It was really interesting. It was a really special moment to be there. Was everybody in that presentation, or most everybody in that presentation? It was really fantastic. What did you think of it as someone who didn't have a ton of BME memories?
I think that it's remarkable that given the reality, and not, I know that grief is a very personal thing, but given the reality that you're an individual that's lost both of their parents, one at a younger age and one more recently, that you have traveled so extensively. I believe you were doing university in, was it Austria, that you've been to study in Austria, and you've picked up this project to work on, and I just think that it's remarkable how mature a presentation you were able to deliver, and I just think that it's really incredible that you've been able to work through, what most of us will never have to imagine going through, and deliver something so professional. We all, Ryan and I in particular, we just thought it was wonderful that you were able to express, things about both of your parents from such a place of love and joy and celebration. And obviously none of us will know probably what it took to get to that point, and I just think that that's really amazing.
Thank you.
What did it feel like writing that presentation? Like, what was your thought process going into it?
Well, so of course, I only had a week to prepare for the presentation, and then within that week there was planning our trip here and also the work I have to do that's completely apart from BME. So I had originally planned for it to just be a long talk, kind of back and forth with the audience for an hour and a half, like, including all the information I already did present, but just more so off the top of my head. And then I realized I hated it the morning of. And I was feeling nervous up until the morning of, but that morning I completely redid everything. I made the whole presentation, and once I had the structure, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not nervous at all. I'm just going to go up there and I'm going to present what's on this screen, and then add details in and ask questions throughout. And having that structure made me feel like ready for it. And then once I got up there, there were over 100 people in that room. I was of course nervous to talk to that many people, but it's hard to be nervous when everyone there is like so obviously like eager to know more about what you're going to present, and so I felt really good about it.
Yeah, I feel like you could have thrown rotten garbage at everyone for an hour and they would have been like, yeah, woo! So that must have helped a little bit, but it must also be intimidating delivering to a room of people and kind of telling them facts that they partly know or know one side of, and then you're giving them another side of it. Like, that must be a complex way to deliver information. You know, like you say yourself, you're telling stories that involved a lot of the people there when you were just a little kid. So it's kind of like, am I telling them what they already know? Am I telling them a different side? So I feel like it was actually really cool to get like another side of the coin from someone that was there, but through your eyes and not theirs.
Absolutely. I was a little bit nervous how people would receive it since they were already a part of BME for the most part. And that's part of why I was asking throughout, like, if you have anything to add, or if you have any personal, like, anecdotes from this time, like, raise your hand and add them into the conversation. Because I think my personal connection with my parents is very important for the company, but at the same time, I want it to be BME, not what I think BME is.
Yeah, BME was always a kind of a community-driven thing. Like, it had strong leadership. Shannon initially, Shannon and Rachel in the later years, but that was all strong direction, strong leadership to it, but it was always important to kind of pull in the community to it. That was the biggest thing for me, is I never felt like I had a community. I felt like, yeah, sure, I pierce, and there are other piercers, but this was years before I ever went to the APP conference. It was years before I ever had any sort of contacts within hours of me. So being able to reach out on the internet and find people that were out there doing things that I was fascinated by, and eventually trying to like chase all these like reputations and legends that I saw other people have, like the community aspect was always so important to me. So it was really powerful in a way to go to that presentation and see the community kind of congealing and gathering and coming back together around this central core idea. It was really cool.
So when it comes to your contemporaries, of course, you're 22. I know that makes a lot of people here feel like they're going to turn to dust. Something that we've kind of noticed amongst our clients as body piercers is that kind of younger generation of people in their late teens and early 20s stylistically seem to be skewing more towards more conservative looks. They're more interested in having this perfect presentation and perfect body image, partly because of social media. And do you find that you have contemporaries around your age group that are embracing the BME spirit, or do you feel like it's a bit harder to connect with people your own age? What's that like?
It's kind of funny. I feel like not like a double agent. What's the word? Like I feel like I live a double life.
Yeah, I get it, like a double agent.
Maybe double agent seems like
sneaky.
But I mean, I feel like I live a double life. Like I have friends that completely lean into like the clean girl Pilates aesthetic, and
right.
I love those friends to death. Like they're amazing. But then I also have friends that are like more on the BME side of things, and not to say you can't be both. But I think that no matter where you go, there's going to be people that are one way or another. And I think, yeah, social media probably has an influence, but the people that want to be part of BME now or in the past, like they'll come to BME if it's the right place for them.
Awesome.
Do you think that some people are kind of like almost rushing towards it, or do you feel like it's that they're being pulled into it because they just haven't seen it yet?
So when you say like rushing, you mean like people will see the content on our website and be like, oh, I need to have all of this right now?
Yeah.
Well, so right now, I think that our current website versus the old website at its height, you're only going to find a fraction of what you would have found back then. So I think if we had the old website right now, we would probably get into a lot of trouble. But then also then maybe people would jump in feet first. But I think right now we're slowly releasing content, and it's pretty safe for work right now. We have a lot of plans for how we're going to expand, but right now, if somebody sees the website, they're probably just going to get the base pieces of knowledge, and it will be a slow like integration into the community if somebody starts reading right now.
Yeah. So to talk about like some of the logistic stuff, and and obviously only give the information that you're comfortable with. I know a lot of the data has just been lost over the years because of just accidents and the passage of time, transferring from one hand to another, things like that. So can you talk about some of that? Because it seems like it would be really challenging.
Yeah, it's hard. We were really shaken up by how much data we ended up losing. I won't go into details because it's just not important, but we just lost everything, all the hardware. It was really old. It was just done. But we were lucky enough to find and be contacted by different people who have become archivists in a way. And they've shared a lot of old photos with us, which we are so grateful for. And we want to figure out something to do with them, but it'll be a slow process on figuring out how we can. So we're kind of starting from scratch right now. There's no IM data. There's nothing that was behind a paywall that we can find now other than the photos that people have been gracious enough to send us.
Yeah, well, it's good that there are some digital pack rats out there that made their own archives of things.
So I'm interested in the relationship that you have with your associate Tori, who's been here with you photographing, interviewing, documenting. I know that you said they were a huge part of the new project and the new launch of BME. Were you two friends before this, or did you connect through one of the meetups? How did you kind of come together with your involvement in the project?
So, funny enough, I got a random email one day asking, hey, I'm writing a thesis, could I ask you some questions about suspension? And in my head I was like, I wonder if I know enough, but I'm going to say yes. If it's not helpful, I'm doing no harm. Yeah. You can just not use it. And so Tori came and interviewed me, and then it was at a party, the first BME party that I'd thrown, which
cool.
it was quite fun. And then I think we didn't speak again for a couple months until the next party, and then after that we had some correspondence back and forth, and Tori offered to write a little bit, and we had just gotten to the point where we were ready to launch the website, and then so Tori's actually officially a writer.
Awesome.
So super talented, and yeah, so the more Tori's written, the closer we've gotten. And I think specifically on this trip, I mean, we don't know each other super well yet, but I mean, I respect you as a writer and as a person. So it's new, but we're constantly looking for new people to join the team, and because we're building this from scratch, so it's going to be new friendships, new partnerships. So I'm very glad Tori's here as well.
And as someone that obviously wasn't in attendance, what were those, I think you said you had done 2 so far in New York, what were those BME meetups? What did they look like for you?
I think honestly, it might have been a bit personal for me to throw those parties. I think I wanted to see in person, did BME mean anything to people? Do people still care? So I threw those parties expecting nobody to show up, and then I think throughout the entire span of each party, around 70 or 80 people were there, 50 at a time. And I think each time I've thrown one of those parties, it's given me a new burst of energy to be people want this, people care. And so
being exposed to all those probably different stories as well.
Absolutely.
Was it a mix of people who were heavy and active on BME and a mix of the new people that were getting interested? I
would say 65% of the people there hadn't ever been on BME. Maybe 10% didn't know what BME was and were just here for a party. And then the other percentage were old school BME users. So actually that's how I met Brian Decker in person. It was so cool to meet him. I was like, oh my gosh, I've known about you forever. And yeah. Here you are.
That's great. So how do you find or how are you finding the spirit of what BME will become? Are you trying to pull some of the past into the future? Are you trying to find the future with a younger generation that are enthusiasts?
Yeah, so it's a mix of both. I think we want to create something similar to the old website because, I mean, it was just a cool website. We want to recreate that, but at the same time, we know that we can't recreate the past. I mean, what my mom and my dad built together, it was successful because they were leading it. And so I need to build like my own thing in a sense, but I want it to still be like the old BME, but for this generation. I think that we'll have to look for the holes that need to be filled, and we'll
No
find.
pun intended.
Yeah, and so we'll find that over time. Right now we're focused on just like putting out good quality content. It's going to be slow at first because we're focusing on obviously quality rather than quantity.
You know, I'm sure you have to find your own spirit, and you need to have it be community driven, because like BME was this movement where it was a lot of people that were younger in their careers, maybe at whatever point in life, but a lot of people were figuring out what they wanted to get into through BME. So I think that'll be an important part: experimentation, interviews with people that have some historical aspect of it, but also connecting with younger people, because that's going to be the future of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting time to be relaunching and reestablishing the project, because we are at a point in time where, you know, the truth has become questionable and people don't always know what they're reading and what they're seeing, and AI and deepfakes and all of this stuff. And I think that culturally we are moving towards a time where young people especially are looking for something real and something that's genuine and authentic, which is often scary and messy. And so I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how it develops, because I know that you are really committed towards your parents' position against censorship. So I think, you know, having a space where you do really support you know, not censoring things on the website. I know that you've said that previously. Could you speak a little bit about how you feel about censorship?
I think that censorship never really works. If somebody is determined to find something, they're going to find it through whatever means necessary. Okay, let's say there's an extreme modification or body modification with a lot of risks attached to it, and because of those risks, people decide, oh, we're just gonna hide this completely, never tell anybody about it. If somebody finds a picture of that and they're like, oh, I need to recreate this, they might just do it because they want to without knowing about the risk. If you give somebody the full information on pros and cons, I think that's a lot more valuable than just pretending like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot there to do with, if you don't want censorship, you have to have personal responsibility. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, giving people the control to have the personal responsibility to make the decisions that are for them or not for them. I think that's a really good thing, just as like a personal position. And I think that as we've moved further into censorship digitally, part of that is people giving away their personal responsibility to decide what is and isn't safe for them. And obviously there's limitations to that.
Right, the algorithm will decide what I should look at.
Yeah, so I think that it's great that you're really committed to that vision of a space where you're not filtering for people what they can and can't see. I think that that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, BME had the benefits and the drawbacks with that kind of subject, because I think we all saw modifications where it was like, that seems crazy. I wanted to see maybe a healed picture first before I saw the procedural photos of how to do it. I tried all kinds of stuff, and I'm sure that if you try to hold somebody back and be like, this is dangerous, this isn't for you, they'll find a picture and then they'll just try to wing it or something like that. So why not give them some information, leave it to them to decide. Is it challenging for the legal side of it, of a website like that? Maybe a little bit riskier in some ways?
We're a little nervous. If I'm being completely honest, we're very nervous about posting certain things because of the time where we're at, and the laws are always changing and not typically in our favor. It is a really tricky time, like you said. I think that we're moving slowly so that we have all of our bases covered. We don't want to go to jail before we even started. Like, we need bail money. But I think that we're a company for the people, and so we're going to do what's in the best interest of everyone, not necessarily like following all the rules, but we're definitely going to follow the rules that we need to follow.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble for anything I'm saying right now.
No, I get it. I remember reading posts about, Shannon saying like, well, now I can't do this because they're saying it's pornography, and then I'm saying it's art and all this stuff, and it's got to be really challenging.
It's hard. What I want is for BME to to be able to say, like, this is art, and to be taken seriously and have a voice loud enough that people will listen. And I'm not talking about people in the community, I'm talking about people outside of the community. That's a big goal of mine personally, to be able to support movements and stuff like that and make sure that, like, the laws are in people's favor.
I think generations now that were kind of raised with the internet through their youth, they're probably a little bit more savvy to being cautious in that way. I think, my generation grew up without a phone in their pocket, without internet access until a little bit into their teens or 20s or something like that. So it was just kind of like, nobody's watching. Oh, wait, they are. So I think now knowing that people are watching, it might be kind of a strange pressure on it, I would imagine.
It's difficult. I mean, I think also anyone who's, like, starting a business, like, you can get sued for the smallest little thing. It's really nerve-wracking to make any sort of change. But John on our team, he's probably one of the smartest people I know, and I don't know how he has the time in the day to do everything he does, but he follows all of the laws all over the world, everywhere, and is always giving us updates for stuff that, like, I mean, we're pretty up to date on everything that's happening, but he's also always showing us things, so we're always very cautious, and we've got just, like, a good team in general.
So being at an event like this, where there's so many different disciplines that come together and in a very active way, like people are performing work here at this conference, have you been poking your head in and checking things out? Have you been able to see stuff getting done this weekend?
Absolutely. I've been going to a bunch of different classes. I poked my head into the scarification room, but I didn't want to stay too long there just for, like, the sake of the people that are getting it done. I didn't want to invade their space. I mean, it's been really cool to watch some of the suspensions that happened. I know a couple of people that went up, so, like, I was watching them on, like, a friendly level. I also went to a bunch of the classes. It's the people that are presenting at BMX are all just super, like, respected in their fields, and it was just all of their presentations were very well done, so I feel like I learned a lot.
It's really interesting to see kind of the cycle of it, because I think a lot of those people, if you saw their classes and liked it, I bet a lot of them were really heavily influenced by the work of your parents.
I definitely noticed a lot of speaker badges coming up to say hi to me. It's so funny when people are coming up to say hi to me, because I'm like, I don't feel like I necessarily deserve to, like, I don't know how to explain it.
Lola says, "I'm just a worm."
I'm just a worm.
Exactly. I feel like I'm just Ari, like, not Nefarious. So, because I lived my whole life, like, just not being in the spotlight. So, to be here and for people to already know who I am before and for me, I don't have any accomplishments so far in the body modification world. I don't feel like
Apart from, like, managing BME.
Yeah, but it's also, we're so early into it that I don't think I've done anything specifically cool yet. I mean, it's cool that I'm restarting it, but I think give me a year or two, and then I'll accept when people come up to me and say thank you so much for what you're doing. But I feel like right now we're just so early in. Like, I just clicked the start button. I haven't actually, like, played the game yet.
I think it's like an extension of respect for your parents. I think so many people were influenced by it that since they can't say thank you to their faces, they want to say thank you to your face.
Mm-hmm. I imagine it being like in one of those, I don't know, like, movies where people slip into, like, the Twilight Zone or parallel universe, where you walk into a building and everyone kind of looks at you and it's like, is everyone here an alien? Or, like, what is it? It must be a really surreal experience coming to an event where everyone's in close quarters like this, and there's hundreds of people here and most of them know who you are, or at least, like, once they find out who you are, if they haven't, seen you before and everything, it's, do you find that you notice, like, eyes looking towards you, and does it make you feel uncomfortable? Or
I was talking to Tori about it. As I walk around, I feel people, like, staring at me, and I don't know if they're not staring at me and I'm just crazy, or like, it's either they know who I am, which I can't comprehend, or they're like, you look super plain and everyone else here looks super cool, and you're just like, I don't know, but I don't know which one it is, and no matter which one people tell me, I'm still going to be, like, confused.
Well, I think it's funny that Stefan, the organizer, he also just looks like, regular guy that you'd see walking down the street, and he organizes this whole event with his team of trusty minions. So, I don't think anybody here would be judgmental of the fact that you're not all like, what's a good word for it?
Like the street cred kind of.
Yeah,
angle
I
of
don't
it.
think you need street cred. I don't think that you have to get street cred. But yeah, it must be a surreal experience. Again, like I know that you're very mature for your age, but I think back to how I felt at 22 or how you felt at 22, and I can't imagine walking into a space knowing that everybody would know who I was and there would be an anticipation of you to meet a certain standard. Like, it's really impressive that you're able to shoulder that and not let it affect, or at least not let it show if it does affect your delivery when you're speaking. I think that you should be really proud of what you did.
I appreciate it. I'm living in a bit of a delusion where I'm like, nobody in this room knows who I am. I'm like, you guys are all here for the podcast, right? Not for me being on the podcast.
They are not here for us. Maybe Gigi. Hi,
Sure
Gigi.
I'm just going to keep telling myself that they are. It makes me less nervous.
So, what are some ways that people can help support the future of BME?
Well, as of right now, we do have some merch on our BME shop. It's not like some of it's print on demand, so we're not making like crazy margins, but every $1's $1 more than we had, and we're on a small scale right now. We do also plan on releasing some sort of subscription service relatively soon. I couldn't tell you right now what's going to definitely be on it, but I know it'll be good stuff. I think that the biggest way to support, like, out of all the ways, would be to send in submissions. It's always been a community-driven website, and I think the biggest way to show community is by being an active member. So if anyone has anything that they've ever done that they've been like, oh, I'm so proud of this, please send it in. It doesn't need to be some sort of like crazy high editorial type photo shoot. Just if you have something you're proud of, like, show us. We would love to see it.
I remember in my BME years, it wasn't about send us a perfectly edited, watermarked portfolio quality photo. It was like, just send us the whole batch. Send us photos of you doing it, setting up for it, cleaning up after it. Send us the good healed pictures, the not so good healed pictures.
I think that's the problem with social media, is that there's this expectation for perfection everywhere you go, and I don't think you always need to be perfect. I think BME would be the best place to show that.
BME was pretty raw sometimes. Like sometimes you would go through those galleries and you would find the gems in there, but you would find it in a pile of 50 other random things where you'd be like, all right, it's just like seeing people work helps you work it out in your own mind of like, I want to do it that way, or I want to not do it that way. And having all of it together is great, because if you just look at, like, not to compare it in a bad way, but if you look at kind of the social media that, like, the APP as an example puts out, they want to have the most polished version because they want to show the best of body piercing in a way. And I think BME, body modification, a lot of it is about experimentation and exploration and things like that. And how can you explore unless you want to try something new? Mm-hmm. What was your exploration like? If it didn't come from BME, was it just like going crazy?
There might have been some experimentation in my bedroom in my parents' house.
Samesies.
So it was, I think, the same story that a lot of other piercers had. I grew up in a very small town, and my best friend, who's still my best friend today, actually got their lip pierced, and I just thought she was the coolest person in the entire world. So obviously I wanted to get something pierced as well, and I went and got my nose pierced, and after that it just kind of grew on me, and then I became the friend that knows about piercing. If anyone has a problem with their piercing, go and ask Lola, because she's the one that knows about piercing. And then it became, oh, I can buy piercing supplies on eBay. So when I was still at school, it would be like, oh, Lola can pierce you. And I remember I was piercing people in my bedroom, my friends. I pierced my cheeks in my bedroom.
What could go wrong?
I didn't die. And then of course, like performing body piercings on myself, and I had like a little case full of, you know, sterile needles and really crappy jewelry, and yeah, that was my experimentation phase while I was a teenager. And I never really wanted to do anything else. Everything else I did from about 15 to 20 was kind of just killing time. I did some art courses at college. I worked at McDonald's. I worked as a shop cleaner. I worked in a market research call center. You know, I did odd jobs, and then I eventually got a job in a piercing studio from handing out flyers just on the street for the studio, which in Glasgow is miserable because it rains constantly. So handing out flyers with an umbrella in the rain in November is not fun. But yeah, that's just how I got into piercing. It's not particularly glamorous, but I feel like if I had have been born a little bit earlier, I certainly would have loved to have been part of the BME community, but the timing just wasn't there, and that's why it kind of like I kind of do a little tiny internal shudder when people say, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm you know, a BME kid," and it's someone that's like 30, and it just makes me feel a little bit like, you know, it's okay to have missed something. Like it's okay to not be part of a particular community group, because I can be part of the new group. I can finally be a BME kid in my late 30s. It's gonna be lit.
So where would somebody send a submission?
So we have our email, submissions@bme.com. In our Instagram bio, I'll take it off as soon as we're done. It says #BME for submissions as well. But funny enough, we can't see that. If you look at #BME, it's either nothing pops up or it's #BMEzine. Nothing pops up.
Really? Okay.
It's pretty interesting.
I've been hashtagging that for years, so I'll have to figure out something else to do.
It was just some random day. I looked it up after we had been using that system for a little bit, and I think it's once we started actively posting, then it just disappeared.
Do you think it's kind of painted as like adult content in a way or something?
I mean, BME's banned in so many different countries.
Yeah.
I haven't really wanted to talk about it, but we're technically banned in this country.
Germany of all places?
Yeah. I think this will be posted after we leave, so it's fine.
Scheisse videos.
No, but I'm not sure. It's so BME.com. I know that let's say on TikTok, if you click on it, it's going to be like, this is a restricted website. We can't take you to this website, and so like you'd have to look it up privately. I think that there's just like a filter with a ton of different website names on it that probably a bunch of different sites and stuff use that are like, you know what I mean? The places that send you to a website within the app.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those are probably just automated, and BME's been on that list forever. So even if we didn't post stuff that was quote unquote controversial, I think we'd still probably not be able to be shown.
Yeah, that must be really challenging in a way, because like you want to document a community that's not really welcomed with open arms by a lot of the rest of the world in a way.
Yeah, but at the same time, we don't want every person under the sun on BME. I mean, there's no exclusion, but at the same time, like we want a little, like it's always been like a community, and if we made everything public, then it wouldn't be a tight-knit community anymore.
You want your people to find you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what the next generation of BME kids, BME people will be, because like I think a lot of us are. It's not like we're days away from retiring or something like that, but I think our careers are partly behind us, and I want to see the enthusiasts that are coming up right now, and I really, really want to see the incredibly specific enthusiasts that are hiding out there in their corner of the world, and then they get comfortable and start submitting what they're into.
I want to look at this pretty quick because I think it'd be relevant to the conversation, but I've noticed on BME so many people, I mean, especially the people that are showing up to the parties I've thrown in New York, are in their 20s. I think if I look here, yeah, the age range for our followers, most of them, so 37% are 35 to 44, and then underneath that, it's 35%, 25 to 34, and then 11.5% are under that, and that's just, none of those people were on BME for the most part, and I think it's cool because it means we've already started finding new people to be on BME. I mean, obviously I want it to be for everyone, not just new people, but I think that people are interested no matter no matter if they were part of BME. So I'm really excited to also see what the next generation of people are.
So the people who are here, I would imagine you're here because you have some kind of a personal connection inside you for BME, and finding that out there in the world must have been pretty impactful for you. And I'm excited to learn about the people who they're BME people and they didn't even know it, or that they don't know yet, and then they find it and they find their own community. I'm really looking forward to that generation.
So, on the subject of censorship, you were saying that you have your colleague John who, keeps you folks up to date on what's going on in the world in terms of censorship. And in the UK, just a week or 2 weeks ago, a new censorship act came into place. And I can't stress enough how little really happens in the UK because of how slow the systems of government are, and how much things get changed and held up. So I was actually shocked when it really happened, and adult websites were just no longer available to me. I went to visit Ryan, internet's working, I come home, no more internet. And I was like, wow, they actually did something. And so I can't remember the name of the act, but basically it's like the Online Child Safety Act or the Online Child Protection Act. And the purpose of the act, kind of public facing, was to prevent people under the age of 18, children, accessing adult websites. And so they're doing that by requiring mandatory ID checks. You have to upload a passport or driver's license, or give over credit card information, or use a Face ID AI type thing. And what was interesting about it, and what I don't think a lot of people know, is how far-reaching it is as a form of censorship. Because in addition to keeping children off of Pornhub, which is a good thing, that is a very good thing, it also keeps them off of Wikipedia and lots of other news sites and educational resources that have nothing to do with adult film, because of how far-reaching it is. And I think when you withhold something from young people, they desperately want to see it even more. When you close a door or a curtain and say, there's nothing to see here, I feel like it actually kind of drives some people to be like, okay, well now I have to look behind the curtain. So I think in terms of the time that we're in, I kind of think it's a good time to be really pushing to relaunch a website like this, because more and more people are going to be, registering for VPNs and that kind of thing, because they're going to have to if they want to get the news. So as much as it is a hindrance in the UK, I think that there will also be a lot of people who are going to push through that and actually be spurred on through that to search for reality on the internet. So I think it's a really interesting time to be in that space online of censorship and anti-censorship. I feel like in 10 years, hopefully you'll still be part of BME and it'll be hugely successful, even more so than it is now. And you can probably look back and reflect on what it was like to relaunch during such a weird time on the internet.
Yeah, hopefully. Obviously this is just hopeful. I'm just so hard to speak knowing I'm being recorded.
This is being recorded. Everyone's gonna know I access adult websites.
Okay, so what I was trying to say is I'm hopeful. I don't want to say anything for certain because I don't know, but in 10 years, I'm hoping that I can say that I made some sort of change. Because if you look at all the work my parents did, it wasn't just bringing a community together. It was making
advocacy too. Yeah.
Absolutely. They were advocating for everyone under the sun. A lot of acceptance that happened in the mainstream was, in my opinion, due to my parents, and a lot of, not completely, but in part from a lot of their work. And what I've told myself my entire life is, if I can be a fraction as impactful as my parents were, then I'm proud of myself and I've achieved enough. So I'm hoping 10 years from now, whether by myself or through BME, I'm hoping that I can say the same for myself as my parents could say for themselves.
Well, I hope the community supports the future of BME. It was so important for BME to support us, and I think it's really time for us to support what BME is going to be in the future.
I'm I'm also realizing what I said was so me. I also think that
You're the guest. You're the special guest. We're here specifically to talk to you.
I meant specifically, I was like saying, oh, I want to be able to say that I did this, but that's just because I think my parents were so awesome and I want to be like them. But I just feel like BME, yes, it's nowhere near as big as it used to be, and it probably won't be for a bit of time now. Hopefully it gets there. Imagine, that would be amazing. But I think that'll take time, but I still think I think just the name BME is such a powerful name, such like a tool, that I think that it can easily be used for good if we put in the work.
Yeah. I see a lot of hope in it, because it could have been very easy for you to just try to cash in on it, or it's just covered in ads and all this stuff. There's nothing wrong with sponsorship, and there's nothing wrong with ads, but I think all of us had this little bit of kind of cautious optimism where we were like, oh, what's it going to be? And now that we see that it's positivity, I think a lot of us can kind of be hopeful about the future for it.
Yeah, specifically talking about ads, we're not really sure what to do, because there were sponsorships, like the World Tour, I believe, was sponsored by like H2O, and I mean there were sponsorships or like ad space given to Anatometal and I think Unimax, something like that, like a couple different places, and we obviously want to make money, we're a business, but at the same time, like we don't want to have any sort of bias or obligation towards any specific thing other than the people that are part of the community.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So, I want to encourage everyone in the community to help support it, whatever it ends up being.
Mm-hmm. It looks like you have a really solid team around you as well. Like when you talk, it's like you say, oh, it's me. But when I hear you talk, you mention Tori, you mention John, and you mention other people that have been around to help you. And I think that it's really good that you've started out with a little bit of a support system around you, because as Ryan says, like there's so many people in the industry that have this weird parasocial relationship with you and with your family, that it would probably be overwhelming to just have no filter there and have everyone coming at you with ideas. So I think having the support system in place that you have, like new people, older people, like with you on that journey is probably really grounding. Do you feel like you rely on the people around you quite a lot?
Absolutely. I would not be able to do anything without them. Not to say I physically couldn't, but I mean, when it comes to programming and stuff, John is taking care of so much that I physically couldn't do. But I also, I wasn't there. I wasn't like, I can do research and I can find out, but hearing from people what BME was like firsthand is the only reason why I'm able to actually have the confidence to do this, because I don't feel like I'm just like pretending. I feel like I've got a bunch of people who are there telling, like, guiding me or like giving me advice. They're like a counsel. I think you said that, and I think the team that's around me is just really great people, and they give me the confidence to be able to work on these projects.
Just only within your own comfort zone. Is there anything else you could tell us, or stories, or anything else that you would want to share about either of your parents, both of your parents together, anything like that?
I mean, unfortunately, I don't really remember my parents ever even being in the same room.
Yeah.
I think I was like 5 when they officially split up, and then my mom was living in America, my dad was in Canada, so I think I'd always hoped that they would maybe one day get back together, but 2013 I was pretty sure that was not happening again. With my dad, I was always a little kid around him. I have so many great memories with him. Just arts and crafts. All we did was arts and crafts all day long, and I guess like chess and other board games. I remember I think I was probably 6 years old, just laying on the floor. He was teaching me algebra, and actually that makes me a little sad to think about, because I'm like, he was the most intelligent person, and I think like, wow, if he had been around, I feel like I would be like Einstein right now, because he would have just facilitated that, like made it happen. But like, yeah, he was smart and fun, and I just remember him being like the cool dad that would show up with a box full of like fun erasers from Japan, or just like cool, just random stuff. Like, he was just a cool guy. And then my mom, she was just, I mean, I spent my entire life with my mom, so my entire like life of being a human that like actually thinks and talks and has opinions, because I just wasn't that when I was a little kid, because no little kid does. She was just always this wise like force, and I think that as a teenager, I wish that I wasn't such a typical teenager. I was like off doing my own thing, hanging out with my friends. I wish that I could have just been like her sidekick through all of that. Like, I wish, like, I mean, I don't get like super torn up all the time thinking about my parents not being here, but I do just wish I'd spent more time with them while I could have. Not that, I mean, nobody thinks that their parents are going to die when they're 20, so like under, I guess, a teenager. But all my memories with my mom, I always just had so much respect for her. Like, I don't want to use the word like scared, but I always just wanted to like, I wanted her to like look at me and think like I was just as smart as her, just as cool as her. I need 20 years before that's even possible, because she had so much experience, but I just remember her being amazing. So both my parents, I always, like, they're on a huge pedestal for me, and that's why I feel sometimes weird about talking to them to other people, because I'm like, I don't want to look like a fan, but honestly, like, I know that they're my parents, so I'm not a fan, but
Very controversial to love your parents.
I don't know, I just think they're like the coolest people ever, and you can quote me on that.
Well, we will. I'm pretty sure most of the people in this room also agree that your parents were the coolest people. Yeah. So, why don't we do your idea of maybe we can talk to some people in the room a little bit?
Sounds good.
What do you think about that? Okay.
Sure.
Who was active on BME? IM pages, or was it mostly like, the BME website? Like, what was it that drew you? Say your name again, and then what drew you into BME?
Chase Campbell. I was in 9th grade art class, and my partner, Justin Velez, showed me BME's webpage, because he pierced his earlobes at home, and he's like, you gotta check this shit out. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then from that point forward, it was like my AOL 2.0 homepage. I checked it as soon as I got home from school. It was my tunnel vision until I became an adult. And then body mod was my first, piercing was my first adult job, and I'm still here, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's cool to see somebody who, because like, you were a US practitioner, and now you're this international name and everything, and it's cool because we haven't been like super close, but I've been adjacent, and I've seen your growth over all this time, and it's cool to have you here and to have you kind of come full circle in this way.
Yeah, it means a lot, because I remember seeing you on ModBlog a lot. So, I mean, you're one of the people, Brian's also one of them, that it's like, I still consider you a hero of mine. I've always looked up to you, and I
It does feel weird.
and I still hold that opinion. So,
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate that very much. ModBlog that's a term, that's a website that I haven't heard even that term in quite a while. ModBlog was just so cool, and like the glider IM page kind of turning into ModBlog, and it was like this kind of offshoot and thing, and it was much more active. Like, I was never like really like a blog follower, and ModBlog, that was the website that I would check 10 times a day. I would always want to see those new posts. So thanks for bringing that back up into my memory.
yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Why don't you go ahead and say your name and what drew you towards BME?
Okay, so I'm Alex, I'm 35. I was 15 when I discovered BME. I was alone by myself abroad, and I had to sneak in to get a account because I was under 18, but I was still sneaking and doing self-posting in my bedroom and submitting pictures. And then I became a young person by 20, and I was still submitting pictures to get more subscription time, and I was always waiting to be big enough to be featured on my blog, and was waiting to get my picture with a logo as well, and it was made a huge part of who am I today.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. That's something I talked to Tori about it a little bit last night, that the whole submission system was brilliant because everybody wanted to have more BME access. Everybody wanted to try to get extreme access and all that stuff. So some people would just spam, and it's just like, oh, you want me to send a photo? Cool. How about I send you 200 photos? And it just became this kind of like giant where I don't know how people could moderate that kind of volume.
So I'm pretty sure for the most part it was. Do you remember Jen?
Yeah.
So Jen has been a huge part of BME for forever. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there, but so I don't know how much she was on like the face of things. But she's just always been around and always been helping with specifically the moderation. She did so many other things, but we that whole system in general was just ridiculous. It was. We want to figure out how to recreate something like that, but it's also it's difficult because I mean Shannon was a 24/7 programmer for BME, so there was so much that we would love to recreate, but we also don't have somebody that can devote every single second of their day every day.
Yeah.
But we want to figure out a similar system.
Yeah, it's like, a cliche term would be like lightning in a bottle kind of a thing, where it was all this personal energy from an individual and driving all this stuff forward. But I know that there was a huge team around it. Like, it's impossible for one person to do this, so it has to be like a team of people. But even with a team of people, you kind of have that scaling point where it's like, at a certain point, do you want to bring in people who don't share the same core beliefs and the same motivation and the same things like that, because then will they have the same spirit?
Well, I think BME's core team was always quite small. There was a couple people that got brought in here and there for the short term, but I would say like it was kept, like the inner circle was always the inner circle.
Yeah. So does anyone else have a question you would like to ask Nefarious, or a memory or a curiosity?
What is it like when you have to spell out your name over the phone? Like when you have to phone up a company and be like, my name is Nefarious.
I never do that. I mean, I have bills, but I never have to like call up for anything.
Is that like an age thing? Am I just
yeah, go get your walker, Granny.
So, do you love it? Like, do you love having a unique and interesting name? Like, I know some people where their name is a bit more unique, kind of, maybe don't love it. Do you love it?
I think that my parents chose my name for a reason. It is super memorable. I think that my name is a great name to have. I think it's pretty if you don't know the name, and then if you know the name, you're like, wow, this is a cool name.
It's like, hi, I'm infamous.
Yeah, so it's like it's a cool, pretty name, and I'm happy that I have it. When I don't feel like talking to people, like at a coffee shop or when I'm introducing myself, I always go by Ari.
Ooh, yeah. How bad does Starbucks get your name wrong on the coffee cup?
Sometimes they add an E, but really it's just A-R-I or A-R-I-E. It's not too hard. Maybe sometimes like with a Y. But yeah, like I will say I kind of hate my middle name a little bit. I think it's good for the website. Like my middle name is Freedom, for those who don't know.
Freedom.
Yeah,
wow.
Nefarious Freedom. I am so embarrassed by my middle name when I talk to anybody that doesn't know BME. I do think Nefarious Freedom is pretty like on brand for
And you get to say Freedom is my middle name.
Pew, pew, pew.
I've used it before.
Cool.
Yeah.
At least they didn't name you Danger, because
My dad almost named me America.
Okay.
I am so glad my mom didn't let that one through.
Yeah. So, any questions from anyone in the room? Everyone is so polite at BMXNet. Yes, please.
So, I have to say, I never heard about BME before. I'm here for you. But you did a really good job. It was interesting, and yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So, don't know also your parents, and but you are interesting. I like the theme and the topic, so it was great to be here.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
From knowing you a bit, I think you would have loved BME. I think everybody here, if you weren't active on BME, it's the same kind of feeling. It's the same kind of thing that drove you to come to Berlin for BMX. It's the community aspect, but it's also sometimes we might get painted as like the weirdo in our social circles or in our families, in our cities or something like that. And maybe it's good or maybe it's bad. But when you're at BMX, you're nobody's like, you know, oh, did that hurt? Or maybe they are, but in a different way because they want to get it done. But like BME was that same thing. It was like nobody questioned if you were sane or not because you had a tattoo on your face or you had your tongue split or something like that. It was just like, oh, that's cool. You know, who did it? Oh, that person did it. Cool. I got mine done by this person. And it was just it was this welcomeness. Like you were never pushed away. Like I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't elitism on BME. I was constantly trying to chase how cool some of the people were on BME. And like it's so strange to hear Chase say something that like I was an inspiration because like your work is so cool and like you do all this stuff that I'm not capable of and it's amazing, you know? And it's like if you were kind of chasing this image that you saw online, like I was doing the same thing. Like when I started doing scarification, it was like because I saw what Ron was doing and what Brian was doing, and it was like I want to be able to be that one day. So like BME was just this really amazing like melting pot and inspiration and community and all these things, and that's why I love BMX so much, because when BME wasn't, you know, where I spent all my time, once I started to kind of branch out into you know, a little bit of the APP conference and MySpace and eventually Facebook and all these different kind of places where you were kind of diversifying your online social contact, BMX felt like, oh, this feels like BME, but an event in a way. And it was just really cool. And I really enjoy something like this. And I'm loving having you here. And I hope that you know, you want to kind of continue coming to conferences and things like that and seeing all the different bubbles. And if you had that outreach of people here, you'll find it all over the world.
I didn't expect to have so much fun. I kind of thought, okay, I'll show up, I'll do my little presentation, and it'll be work the whole time. But it's felt, I mean, I just did another interview, so I feel like weird saying the same words, but it feels so natural to be here. I think just I was raised being around like I don't know, it feels like familiar in a sense to be at an event like this. I mean, I'm tired because of jet lag, but if I wasn't jet lagged, I think this would have been like a 10 out of 10 event. And I would definitely love to start coming to more and more conferences. It was really interesting to be able to do the talk on BME. I had people who were part of BME come up to me after and be like, and they said, that was so interesting, I learned things about BME I didn't already know. And that's crazy for me to be able to tell people things about BME that they didn't know, because I feel like they know everything. And I don't know, it's just, I would love to share more with people and anyone who wants to listen.
Yeah, well, I think we're all kind of hungry for it, really, in a way. I think maybe a little bit of a mix of talking about the historic aspects of BME and the mod community, and then bringing that forward into the future, and then bringing the current younger generation and showing like, well, this is like what it's kind of built on. I think bringing all that together is really special, and I think that you are primed to do it because it's in your blood in a way. Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to add or ask or bring up?
No, I think I've picked your brain enough for one day.
Okay.
So, thank you very much for joining us for this extra special episode with our extra special guest, Nefarious. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. We know that everyone is going to be delighted to hear your point of view, and I would just encourage everybody listening to follow BME on social media, check out the new website, keep your eyes peeled for possible new subscriptions that could be coming, because it's really about what you put in and not you take out of it, not what you take out of it, that makes it a really strong user experience. So, you know, hopefully we can get some good engagement and just get the word out that BME is back, hopefully for good.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, like, thanks for trying to pick it up, because it would have been really easy for you to just kind of pick anything else you want to be in the world, and I really appreciate that you're keeping that spirit alive, and I really appreciate Tori's work and everybody else, John's work, and the people that are kind of helping to kind of carry this legacy forward. It meant a lot to me, and it still means a lot to me, so I want to say thanks.
Thank you. It's hearing this anytime somebody asks me about BME and I do my little spiel and then they say thank you, and it's anytime somebody says that, it's so genuine, and I just it touches me and it keeps me going to keep doing this. Thank you for having me on the podcast. It's been a cool experience. I was a little nervous, but I really like it. This was cool.
Well, thanks for being open to it. I want to thank you so much for flying across an ocean and being here. And sharing what was on your mind, and especially like if you put together that presentation so quickly, it was amazing, and I don't know a single person who didn't love being there and being part of it. I think it was a really special memory, and I think that will be kind of one of my BMX core memories is being there in that room and feeling the energy, all the hands popping up and all these people just being like, this just feels right, and it was really special having you here, so thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody else, who took a little bit of time out of their day. I know this is the last spot of BMX, and I'm sure you're all very tired or very hungry or very something, and I want to thank you all for being here, and we'll record it and we'll stick it online for you at some point. So thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
For more information about the show, visit piercingwizardpodcast.com or like Piercing Wizard Podcast on Facebook. For more info about your host, visit precisionbodyarts.com or search Ryan PBA on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr. If you enjoy the show, you can subscribe on iTunes, Apple Podcast, and Google Play. Music by Benny B. Blanco. Show copyright 2017, Precision Body Arts LLC, all rights reserved.